Here we go. I can solve rational equation. Let's read together. 1, 2, 3. I can solve rational equation. So notice we're no longer on expressions. We're on equations, rational equations. What are they? Let's find out. Rational equations. Rational equations are an equation that contains one or more rational expressions. And we know what rational expressions are, right? Expressions that contain fractions. Okay? Here are the examples of rational equations. Let's see. Is this a fraction? Does it have an equal sign? Yes. Is this a fraction? Does it have an equal sign? Yes. Is this a fraction? Yes. Another fraction? Yes. Does it have an equal sign? Yes. Those are rational equations. Non-examples. Let's see. Non-examples, we have g over 6 plus 4, x squared plus 3x plus 2, and negative 3 plus x equals 10. Copy those, and then we'll go over it. Thing to remember, that they have to be equations, and they need to have at least one fraction in it. So yes, critical attributes, it has to be an equation. It needs to contain at least one rational expression or a fraction. Okay, steps. Today we only have 2 simple steps. Very simple steps. Okay, copy this down, please. Steps 1 and 2. Copy these. It says, step 1, when the rational equation is a proportion, cross multiply and solve. When the rational equation is not a proportion, multiply by the LCD, simplify and solve. When you get to this point of the first one, box proportion, so that you can write the definition in case you forgot. The proportion is basically a fraction equal to another fraction. What is a proportion? Fraction equal to another fraction. So check this out. Today I'm gonna show you 2 different rational equations. The first one, it's a proportion. The other one will not be a proportion. So I'm going to show you an example that gives us a rational equation that has a proportion. We cross multiply and solve. For the second one, I'm going to give you an example of a rational equation that is not a proportion. Therefore, we need to multiply times the common denominator, simplify, and solve. Okay? Copy this down. Example 1A. All right, here we go. Example 1. Copy this. Example 1. It says, solve 5 over x minus 2 equals 3 over x. And then it says, check your answer. We're just going to check the first 2, and then from there, we won't check the rest since I'm going to be doing these with you. Just to make sure we get through all the examples. So, 5 over x minus 2 equals 3 over x. Pens down, eyes up here. So now check this out. This is a proportion. Why is it a proportion? Because it has a fraction equal to another fraction. Is there anything else being added to it? No. So if it is a proportion, we cross multiply, simplify, and solve. Check this out. I'm going to cross multiply this one times this expression. But notice this expression has how many terms? 2. So what is 3 times x? 3x. What is 3 times negative 2? Negative 6 equals 5 times x. What is 5 times x? 5x. To solve that, this takes us back to the beginning of the year. We did some of these. Remember that? Therefore, simplify. Can we simplify anymore? No. Isolate. Get all variables to one side. Where do I start? 3x. So I subtract 3x, subtract 3x. I'm left with negative 6 equals 2x. Divide by 2, divide by 2. Negative 3 equals x. Copy that, please. And then we'll go ahead and do the check together. Okay, let's check this one together. Check. I'm going to rewrite the equation. 5 over a bit of x. I'm going to open up a parentheses. Minus 2 equals 3 over parentheses. What is x? Negative 3. That goes here, and that goes here. What is 3 over negative 3? Negative 1. This one is 5 over negative 3 and negative 2, that's negative 5. What is 5 over negative 5? Negative 1 equal to negative 1. That is true. That's it. Do another one. You do this next one by yourself. Here we go. Example 1A. It's going to be the same type, so copy this down, please. Example 1A. Copy that. Example 1A, solve 1 over n equals 3 over n plus 4. Thank you. Check your answer. And this one, I want you to check your answer, please, at the end. Solve 1 over n equals 3 over n plus 4. Check your answer. You have 30 seconds. Well, 40 seconds with a check. Go. Here goes the process. Cross multiply. 3 times n is 3n equals 1 times n plus 4 is n plus 4. Let's solve. Get all variables to one side and subtract 1n, subtract 1n. We're left with 2n equals 4, divide by 2, divide by 2, n equals 2. Check. One over, what is n? 2 equals 3 over 2 plus 4. 1/2 equals 3 over 6. Can we reduce 3 over 6? Yeah, it's 1/2. Okay, let's do one more. This next one, see if you can do it in about 30 seconds. You don't have to check this next one. We already know the process for checking. Here we go. Example 1B. Example 1B, copy this. Solve 4 over h plus 1 equals 2 over h. Says check your answer, but like I said, for this one you don't need to check. I just wanted to show you the process. 30 seconds, go. Here we go. Cross multiply. Let's see, 2 times h is 2h, plus 2 times 1 is 2, equals 4 times h, that's 4h. Now, does it matter which side you started with? No. As long as you have 4h equals 2h plus 2. From there, isolate, get all variables to one side, and subtract 2h, subtract 2h. We're left with 2 equals 2h, divide by 2, divide by 2. 1 equals h, or h equals 1. Hands if you got that. Okay. All right. So, questions with these. Very simple. Once again, like I said, these seem very familiar because we did these at the beginning of the year. Therefore, copy this next one down, please. Example 1C, last one of these super easy ones. It says solve 21 over x minus 7 equals 3 over x. Once again, you don't have to check your answer. You got 30 seconds. Go. Then we'll get into some that do not have proportions. Let's see. Cross multiply. 3 times x, that's 3x. 3 times negative 7, that's negative 21, equals 21 times x, that's 21x. Hands if you got that step. Okay. Next, let's solve. Get all variables to one side. What's my smallest variable? 3x. So I subtract 3x, subtract 3x. I end up with negative 21 equals 18x. Hands if you got it to right there. Okay. Next step. Solve for x. We divide by 18. Divide by 18. You end up with x equals negative 21 over 18. Hands if you got it to right there. However, what's the last step for everything we do? Simplify. Can we simplify this fraction? Yes, we can divide top and bottom by 3, and we end up with negative 7 over 6 equals x. Hands if you got negative 7 over 6. And some of you maybe simplify this to negative 1 and 1/6 equals x, or negative 1.16 equals x. Okay? Now let's get into the funner stuff. Yay! Copy this down. Example number 2. Example 2. Here it is. Example 2. It says, solve each equation. Check your answer. Once again, we already know how to check. Right now I want to get through the process finding the solution for this type of equation. We got 4 over x minus 3 over x squared equals 1. Copy that, please. Focus, please. Pens down, pencils down, eyes up here. I'm going to go over this one because this this is going to take your full attention, please. Here he goes. Now, notice this one is not a proportion. We don't have a fraction equal to another fraction. Now we have a fraction minus another fraction equal to something else. Well, for these are very similar to something that I introduced also at the beginning of the year. Check this out. Let me refresh on your memory. At the beginning of the year, I did something like this. 2x over 5 minus 3x over 10 equals 1. Remember these? So I said to get rid of fractions, we needed to multiply the entire equation times what? The common denominator. What is my common denominator here? 10. And some of you are wondering, how do we get 10? Let me show you how we got 10. If I factor this one, this becomes 2 times 5. What would make these two common denominators if this one had what? Times 2. Notice the word times, not plus. Times. Therefore, that's why we're multiplying times 10. And then once we do that, we multiply times each of these. Then that gives us 20x. The denominator stays the same. Minus 30x. The denominator stays the same, which is 10. Equals 10 times 1 is 10. Simplify this. This gives us 4x minus 3x equals 10. And so on and so forth. We got x equals 10. Did you see that? Okay. So right now we're not focused on this. I just wanted to explain how we got the common denominator. Okay. So now we're here where we have fractions, but now we have polynomials on the fractions. So how do we find a common denominator? What did I do here? I factored it, right? So check this out. How can I factor this one? This becomes x times x. What do we need for this to look like this? 1x. So now, what would be my common denominator? X what? Squared. X squared. Notice that this one has x times x, and this one has x times x. Therefore, my common denominator is x squared. Are we there? So therefore, check this out. I'm going to erase these for right now. Our common denominator is x squared. Therefore, I need to multiply everything times x squared. Pay attention first, and then you copy. So x squared times 4, that is 4x squared, over the denominator stays the same, which is x. Next, x squared times 3, that is minus 3x squared, the denominator stays the same, equals x squared times 1, that is x squared. Copy that up to right there, please. Once again, if you want to show how we got the common denominator, just show the factor, this one x times x, and this one times 1 more x. Copy that. So we're up to right here. So check this out. The reason we multiply all the equation times the common denominator, and notice we only multiply the numerators and the whole number, is to get rid of fractions. So how come we end up with a fraction here? Because we're ready to simplify. Check this out. Here, if we use rule of exponents, we know that these subtract, right? Or if we break this one down to a factored form, how many x's do we have here? X times x. Do you see the giant 1? So what do we have left? 4x. Therefore, minus. Do you see a giant 1 here? 3 equals x squared. Copy that, please. All right. Now, check this out. Now, some of you already saw that it's a quadratic, therefore we need to have it equal to 0. So check this out. So what I'm going to do here, let me move this out of the way. Check this out. I'm going to create some room. We need to set this x squared equal to 0. This needs to be 0, right? Therefore, I need to get rid of this 4x. How do I do that? Subtract 4x. I need to get rid of this negative 3. How do I do that? Plus 3. And whatever I do to one side, I do to the other side. So this minus this becomes 0 equals to x squared minus 4x plus 3. Does this look familiar? Yeah, so now we actually can use Power Rangers. We can use any other method. What's the other one that you guys love to do? Complete the square, right? Oh, yeah. So here we go. So 0 equal open two parentheses. This one becomes x and x. Power Rangers, 3, negative 4. Factors are 1 times 3, but they're both negative. So this is x minus 1, x minus 3. Set each one equal to 0. X minus 1 equal to 0. X minus 3 equal to 0. Let's solve. Add 1, x equals 1. Add 3, x equals 3. And those are my solutions. And if we were to graph this, these are the roots, zeros, and x-intercepts. Remember that? Yeah, that deserves a bam. All right? And it's that simple. That's all we do. So once again, let me recap. Here it goes. Everybody look up. Here goes a recap. Step 1. This one I just used to explain how we got the common denominator, and we multiply times everything except the denominators. Here we go. So here, how did I get common denominator x squared? Well, I factored this one. This was x times x, and I saw that this one needed an x, so our common denominator was x squared. I get the common denominator, multiply everything times that except the denominator. So therefore, x squared times 4, that's 4x squared. Denominator stays the same. X squared times 3, that's 3x squared, and the denominator stays the same. X squared times 1, that gives us this. From here, we identify it's a quadratic equation, so we need to equal it to 0. We got rid of this, equal to 0. We end up with this. We could have used any method, like the quadratic formula or completing the square, but you guys said, let's use the fastest way, which is using factoring or the Power Rangers, right? That's how we got that. Do another one. Copy this next one down, please. Example 2b. It says, solve each equation. Check your answer. 2 over x plus 1 plus 3 over x equals 5 over 2x. Copy that, and then I'll go ahead and start with the first steps for you. All right, pens down, eyes up here. Here it goes. So now we have 3 fractions. We don't have a proportion, 3 different fractions. We need to get rid of the fractions by multiplying times a common denominator. Now check this out. We need to find the denominator that would be common for all 3. Check this out. This is how I do this. First, I'm going to factor each one of these. What is GCF here? 1. And we're left with 1 times x plus 1. Okay? This one. Can we factor this one anymore? No. Can we factor this one? Yes. 2 times x. Well, it stays the same pretty much. So now, looking at each one of these, remember the key word here. Everybody look up, please. Over here when I said, what times this equals 10? What times this equals 10? What times this equals x squared? Times. Remember the key word times, yes? All right, here we go. So, look at this one. What does this one need to multiply to get whatever this has? Times what? X plus 1. And the 1 is already multiplied in here. What is 1 times 2x? 2x. Are we there so far? You're saying, what just happened? Here it goes again. This one has 2x. We cannot just say plus 1 because we're not adding. What was the key word? Times. So what do I need to multiply this that this one has? X plus 1. There it is. So now, using this one, what does this one need that this one has? 2x. So this one is times 2x. So now looking at this one is common with this one, but this one still needs something. What does it need? It needs a 2 and an x plus 1. Now do we have a common denominator? So therefore, our common denominator that we're going to multiply the entire equation is 2 times x times what? X plus 1. Does everybody see that? So therefore, we multiply this times the numerator. So pay attention to this. Everybody look up. Here it goes. I'm going to multiply this one times this one. I'm going to write the number first, 2, times 2 times x times what? X plus 1 over the denominator stays the same. X plus 1. Pay attention, please. Focus. Next, I multiply this one times the second term. Plus, so I write the 3 times 2 times x plus 1 over, and what's the denominator? X. The reason I'm writing them in factored form, because right now we need to simplify by identifying giant 1. Are we there? Next, equals this times this one. 5 times 2 times x plus 1 over, and what's the denominator? 2x. Are we there so far? Copy that, please, before I move forward. So now, let's start identifying giant 1. Let me scoot down a little bit. There it is, right there. And make some room. Here we go. So, do you see a giant 1 here? X plus 1 and x plus 1. What do we have left? What is 2 times 2? 4x plus. Do we see a giant 1 here? Right here. What is 3 times 2? 6. And bring down the x plus 1 equals. Do you see a giant 1 here? What is it? The 2 and the x. So we're left with 5 times x plus 1. Does this look familiar? Yes. Bless you. Draw your line down the equal sign. Steps to solve multi-step equations: simplify, isolate, box, and simplify. Can we distribute here to this the parentheses? Yes. This becomes 6x plus 6. Bring down the plus and the 4x equals 5x plus 5. This side is already simplified. Is this side simplified? No. Combine like terms. What is 4 plus 6? 10x plus 6 equals 5x plus 5. From there, get all variables to one side. Minus 5x minus 5x. We got 5x plus 6 equals 5. What do I do next? Minus 6 minus 6. 5x equals negative 1. And at the end, we divide by 5. Divide by 5. X equals negative 1/5. Negative 1/5 or negative 0.2. Solution. Okay, recap. Let's see. Here goes from the top. This was a challenging one because it had 3 different expressions. Rational expressions within the equation, and each one of these denominators were different. What did we do? We multiplied all the denominators to find our common denominator. 2x times that, and then therefore you saw that this one only needed a 2 and the x plus 1. So our common denominator was 2x times x plus 1. I multiplied that to all the numerators. Here it is. The denominator stayed the same, and then from there we simplified by getting rid of giant 1s. There it is. From there we got into multi-step equations. We simplified by distributing to the parentheses, combine like terms, isolate the variable, and use inverse operations to solve, and that's how we end up with our solution. Okay? Last one. Copy this next one down, please. Example 2a says, solve, which, wasn't the other one 2a? Yeah, I think this one's 2b. 2b. The other one was 2a? 2b? Okay, so this one is 2c. 2c. All right. Yeah, let's double check and see if you see. We got 2 over a plus 1 plus 1 over a plus 1 equals 4 over a. Let's do this one together. Here we go. So by looking at it, do these two have a common denominator? Yes. However, this one needs to be multiplied times what that these have? A plus 1. So look at this one. What do these need in order to look like this? Times A times A. So my common denominator is what? A times A plus 1. So we multiply the entire equation, only the numerators, times that. So we were going to write 2 times A, what times A plus 1 over, what goes in the denominator? A plus 1 plus 1 times A plus 1 over A plus 1. Bless you. This one is 4 times A plus 1 over, what goes in the denominator? A. Now we can simplify, yes? So you see a giant 1 here? Yes? A plus 1 and A plus 1, what do we have left? 2A plus. How about here? This one, so we're left with 1A. I'll write just 1A equals. Giant 1 here is what? A, so we're left with 4 times A plus 1. All right? What do we do there? Distribute. We start with simplify, isolate, plot, check. So let's simplify. Distribute. Oh, wow. Distribute. So this is 4A plus 4 equals 2A plus 1A. Can we combine like terms on this side? What is this? 3A equals 4A plus 4. Get all variables to one side. Where do I start? Minus 3A minus 3A. We're left with 0 equals A plus 4. Is A by itself already? No. What do we need to do here? Minus 4 minus 4. Negative 4 equals A. Solution. Bam. Spirit fingers on 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay. So for homework, here we go. Oh, sorry. Homework. Homework is found on pages what? 676, 677, 1 through 31 odds. There's tutoring today. If I don't see you in tutoring, see you guys tomorrow.